This seminar is for educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice or treatment. Consult with your medical provider for medical advice or treatment. Although the presenters try to keep the information in this seminar as accurate and timely as possible, the speakers and Mather Hospital assume no duty to ensure the seminar is error-free. The speakers and Mather Hospital are not responsible or liable for any claim, loss, or damage resulting from you viewing this seminar.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us for our HealthyU Webinar Series. Today's topic is how to stop dieting for good using intuitive and mindful eating practices. At any time during the presentation, please feel free to enter any questions you may have using the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. We will answer as many questions as we can within the time allotted once the presentation concludes. Your question will always remain anonymous. Today's presenter is Erin Carraher. Erin is a registered dietitian with a passion for health and wellness. She has a BS in nutrition and dietetics from CUNY Queens College and completed her dietetic internship at Long Island University Post. She is pursuing her master's at Stony Brook University. Erin is devoted to providing individualized counseling that can help people in their health journey. All right, Erin, I'm going to hand over the controls to you, and you're all set.
All right. Thank you, Jonathan. Hi, everyone. As Jonathan said, I'm Erin. I'm a registered dietitian. I've been here at Mather for over 7 years now. I love what I do. I love counseling, but my passion really lies in making sure that people develop a healthy relationship with food, and I just love to share my knowledge of that, and that you don't have to be yo-yo dieting for the rest of your life. So I am going to share my screen and start my presentation on intuitive and mindful eating practices. Okay. So for those of you that don't know what intuitive eating is, it's a philosophy that completely shuns any type of restrictive diet. It involves eating based on internal cues of hunger, fullness, and satisfaction, as opposed to external rules. So most of the time, if you are looking to go on a diet, or you're usually getting a meal plan, or being told what to do, where intuitive eating is based on learning what your own body is telling you. It's an evidence-based mind-body health approach composed of 10 principles created by 2 registered dietitians who are the nutrition experts, registered dietitians. So if you're ever seeking nutrition advice, always go to a registered dietitian. Intuitive eating is a personal process of honoring health by listening and responding to direct messages of the body in order to meet your physical and psychological needs. And intuitive eating focuses on the pursuit of health and balance. And what is mindful eating? So mindful eating is a technique that helps us gain control over our own eating habits. So it has been shown to promote weight loss, reduce binge eating, and help us to feel better. And it is about listening to our internal body cues and being less influenced by the world around us. So acknowledging your responses to food, likes, dislikes, or neutral without judgment is key. That we have to try to go about things and food without judgment. Something I really want to emphasize is that there's no moral value attached to food. So a lot of people talk about food as in it's good or bad. There's no moral value. There's just foods that are more nutritious than others, or can have a different nutritional profile. And there's foods that, just contain different ingredients, and we can look at them from a scientific standpoint of how it affects our body and what it does. What does it spike our blood sugar? Does it make us feel satisfied? Does it make us feel hungrier? Does it make us feel bloated? Whatever those feelings. But we really want to try to erase those preconceived notions that there are foods that are good or bad, or anything like that. So looking into what your body and what your body is telling you, becoming aware of your physical hunger and satiety cues to help guide your decisions. So mindful eating versus diet culture. So it's important to acknowledge and validate that weight loss that naturally occurs by incorporating strategies such as portion control, swapping out hypercaloric, ultra-processed foods with nutrient-dense foods, and moving our bodies more is health promoting habits. And we do emphasize all of this. We just don't do it in a way where we're judging or you're feeling guilty about, other things that you're doing. Eating mindfully to naturally regulate weight may include weight loss is very different from diet culture and going on a fad diet and, being really restrictive and really feeling guilty. There is a big difference. A lot of the habits might be similar, like I said, portion control, like looking at nutrient rich foods and understanding why you're doing that as opposed to the hypercaloric ultra processed foods, but you're doing it in a different way where you're not again, feeling guilty or being super, super restrictive. We want you to make these decisions based on what your own body is telling you, being informed, understanding the science of nutrition and what the food is doing inside your body. But you may be wondering, what is diet culture? So diet culture equates thinness with health. That's a lot of people's ultimate outcome is if I want to get healthy, I have to lose weight. And if I don't lose weight right away, that is, this is not a good diet. Where when you do mindful and intuitive eating, we're focusing on health, and weight loss could be part of the bigger picture of if you have a bunch of pieces in a puzzle and putting them all together. But it's one of the pieces. It doesn't have to be everything. It's not that we have to ignore it, like I said before, but diet culture is just looking at that one outcome, right? When there's so many other factors that can, play into our health. Diet culture shames us into believing that we are somehow broken if we are in bigger bodies. Diet culture leads us to disordered eating that can begin as early as 10 years old. It's really, really sad. Diet culture promotes harmful substances such as weight loss pills, laxative, colonics to just promote weight loss. So again, these are not health, promoting behaviors. They're just you're just gonna lose water weight. But because people see that on a scale, they think, oh, well, this is good because all I care about is losing weight. Diet culture promotes fad diets that are often too restrictive to follow for the long term and does not provide sustainable lifestyle habits. So that's really one of the biggest problems with diet culture is that everyone thinks like, oh, I failed this diet because I couldn't maintain doing it. But I lost weight on it, so it must work. Well, if you went on something that you cannot sustain doing for the rest of your life, then you're setting yourself up for failure, and that is not your fault. That is the diet's fault. But this is how diets work, because then people go off the diet, tend to go, very black and white. I'm either on it or off of it. And then, oh, well, it worked. I need to get back on it to lose the weight again. And then it's just like a continuous cycle. Another thing to note is healthy weight is not what we weighed when we were much younger. Healthy weight is not what the billion-dollar diet industry tells us it is. The diet industry relies on us to feel badly about ourselves. They sell diet solutions that are either unattainable or sustainable, and when they don't work, their marketing strategy is to make the individual believe they've failed. Diet companies want their customers to constantly feel the need to go on another diet so they can keep making money off of it, when the fact is that 95% of all diets fail. So what do we do about it? So you want to get healthy, you want to create a healthy relationship with food. So as I mentioned before, adapting into more of an intuitive, mindful eating approach is how to do that. Now, this process does take a while, and I do recommend if you're looking into doing this, to look for a one-on-one dietitian to help you, because it does take a lot of accountability and guidance, but these are definitely some principles that you can start to incorporate into your own, into your everyday lives. So the first principle is reject the diet mentality. So as we've just talked about, we don't want to diet anymore, right? It doesn't do any good for us to just be on and off something. It really messes up our metabolisms actually and our bodies by just doing this like weight fluctuation constantly. So diets offer quick fixes for weight loss that are not sustainable long term. Diets were designed to fail you, yet make you feel like you failed them. Every diet has pushed your natural intuitive eater further and further away, reinforcing you not to listen to your body. So I want you to think about when you are feeding a baby, like an infant, and you're feeding them a bottle. And they stop when they're full and they cry when they're hungry. You know, it's kind of getting back to that feeling. Obviously, as you get older and there's a lot more noise around of, you know, environmental situations and social, but ultimately we want to get back to that feeling of like, oh, I eat when I'm hungry and I stop when I'm full. So some of the steps on how to reject diet mentality is recognize and acknowledge the damage that dieting causes. Be aware of diet mentality, like when your brain is going into that very all or nothing state, that good or bad, healthy, unhealthy, very black and white way of thinking. Get rid of some of your dieter's tools or things that can trigger you that you've used before that have not worked for you. And be compassionate towards yourself and understand that it took a while for these habits to, you know, become part of your life and that it's going to take a while for them to kind of diminish. So understand that. The diet industry is worth $72 billion, yet 95% of diets fail, as I said before. So think of that when you feel like you failed a diet. How would they make so much money if diets worked and helped with long-term success? So just some thoughts as you are approaching this, rejecting the diet mentality. Principle number 2, honor your hungry. So our bodies need adequate fuel to run efficiently. Think of your car needs gas. If you didn't put gas in your car, how do you think it's going to run efficiently? We don't want to ignore the signs that our body is telling us we are hungry. Otherwise, this can trigger a primal drive to overeat. So for example, if you don't eat structured or you go too long without eating, but then you notice that you're extremely hungry, you're really going to maybe after work, this is a typical situation, you know, ate lunch, didn't have an afternoon snack, go home, making dinner, snacking on different foods because you're so hungry. Then you go to dinner and you're not really hungry, but then you still eat because you made your dinner. Once you reach the moment of excessive hunger, all intentions of conscious mindful eating are irrelevant. So learning to honor this biological signal sets the stage for rebuilding trust in yourself and in food. So what we like to use is the hunger fullness scale. So the hunger fullness scale is a scale of 1 through 10 that has you look into how your body's truly feeling. So number 1 is starving. 2 is you're very hungry, it's hard to think straight. 3 is your stomach is growling. 4 is you're a little hungry, it's time to start thinking about what you want to eat. 5 is neutral. 6 is satisfied. 7 is pleasantly full. 8 is a little too full, 9 is very uncomfortable, and 10 is painfully stuffed, you feel sick. So you want to enter a meal at around a 3 or 4 when you feel hungry, but not overly hungry, and end a meal at a 7, comfortably full. Principle number 3, make peace with food. So you want to stop the fight with food and give yourself permission to eat. I know that might sound funny coming from a dietitian, but really what we want to focus on is addition, not omission. So we don't want to discredit that foods taste good and that, you know, we don't want you to ever enjoy foods that you like you think you have to when you're on a diet. We do want you, we'll get into like honoring your health and everything, but we also want you to understand once you anticipate you're going to start restricting, this leads to intense feelings of deprivation that lead to uncontrollable cravings. This ultimately leads to binging. So each impending diet brings with it more fear of deprivation, then comes overeating, loss of self-control, and decreased self-esteem. So throw out the preconceived notion that certain foods are good and others are bad. Eat what you want. Eat without anticipation of dieting or restricting. All foods contain different nutrients, and we can value those nutrients and see the beneficial factors they provide. But typically, like I said, when we think of good and bad, it leads to restriction that ultimately leads to binging. Principle number 4, challenge the food police. Whether it's your own inner food police or someone outside on the outside telling you not to consume certain foods because they are bad and only to consume the good food, we need to challenge the food police to become true intuitive eaters. In a random survey of over 2,000 adults, 45% of the people were found to feel guilty after eating the foods they like. Why? Because diets have programmed us to feel guilty if we go off the plan. And off the plan usually includes foods that are enjoyable and provide satisfaction, and we need to honor that. When we don't, we tend to find foods that to satisfy us. Typically, that might not happen, and then binge later saying, oh, I'll be good tomorrow. Here are some examples of diet rules that have been created to quote unquote keep us healthy, but in turn go against our intuition. So for example, sweets are bad for you. I shouldn't eat anything after 6 p.m. Processed carbs should be avoided. If I eat breakfast, it will make me eat more throughout the day. Dairy products should be avoided. Fruit is sugar and should be avoided. Bread, pasta, and rice will make me gain weight. Even though there has been a ton of evidence to refute these thoughts, they have been so ingrained in so many people's minds that it takes years to loosen their hold and replace them with reality. Now, I also want to note here that what works for one person might not work for someone else. And that's another thing about working with a dietitian is we really look at the individual and work with what works for them. So just also know that what happens is we want to decrease the noise that's surrounding us, what we think is bad, and actually get down to the root causes. Like dairy products should be avoided. Well, yeah, if you have some lactose issues, maybe dairy should be avoided. But if you don't, like maybe there's other factors that we could look at. So so just understand that too, that everything is very individualized. Principle number 5, discover the satisfaction factor. Think back to the last time you ate. Were you truly satisfied from that meal, or were you trying to play by the rules of diet culture? Why is satisfaction so powerful? The reason is because we are driven by our unmet needs. We want what we can't have and will do whatever it takes to calm down the sense of deprivation that arises when our needs are not satisfied. Have you ever found yourself eating fruit or diet desserts, rice cakes, when you wanted a cookie? Some people will eat 10 times more diet foods in hope of becoming satisfied instead of just eating the cookie. So try these steps. Ask yourself what you really want to eat. Discover the pleasure of palate. So enjoy the taste, texture, aroma, appearance. Make your eating experience more enjoyable. So remember the 3 S's of satisfying eating: eat slowly, eat sensually, and savor each bite. Don't settle. If you don't love it, don't eat it. Check in. Does it still taste good? The decline of liking the food occurs within minutes of eating a particular food, which is highly influenced by the sensory aspects of food, such as flavor, texture, or aroma. Principle number 6, feel your fullness. After years of being on strict diets and following meal plans, you may find it difficult to identify your hunger and fullness cues. The first step to feeling your fullness is to bring more consciousness and awareness to your meals. Observe the signs that show you're comfortably full, pause in the middle of eating, and ask yourself how the food tastes. What is your current hunger level? So think back to the hunger fullness scale. When you finish eating, ask yourself where your fullness level is and see what you can learn from that experience. Note what you like about the feeling or what you want to change next time. Another thing is when you enter that next meal, you also want to reflect on how long did that keep me full? How do I feel? Do I have energy? Do I feel sluggish or bloated or jittery or whatever it might be? And that kind of helps guide us, because generally when we eat nutritious foods that are fueling our body in a good way, you're going to feel much better. And when you reflect on those behaviors, it's going to help you to be consistent with those changes, as opposed to feeling you're like someone's telling you to do that. Like, I can tell you all day to eat more fruits and vegetables, but if you start incorporating fruits and vegetables and you start to really notice how your body's reacting and how, you're feeling better, maybe you're getting more fiber so your bowels are better, maybe you have more energy, there could be a slew of things that can happen, and it's giving you the autonomy to be like, oh, I like eating more fruits and vegetables because it makes me feel better, instead of feeling like you're just being told what to do. So definitely giving yourself that autonomy to be in charge of, what your body and what you like and what makes you feel good. And eat without distraction. The best way to increase awareness during eating, eat without distraction. So try to be present during your meals, chew food thoroughly, really taste your food, do a taste and satiety check during the meal to see if you need more or if you're satisfied and are done. Remember, you get to eat when you're hungry again. So definitely check in with yourself and understand. One, regarding portion sizes, I do recommend to portion out your food so that you have an awareness of how much you're putting on. Now, it doesn't mean I want you obsessing over numbers, but I want you to be, start with a portion and take your time, eat it slowly, do all these mindful eating practices, and then reflect. Was that enough food? Was that too much food? Portion sizes are just the amount that they were putting on the back of a label to show a nutrition panel. Like, that doesn't mean that is your portion size. That doesn't, everyone's very different. It's based on a standard, but it's not, individualized for every single person. And you also might find that some days one serving of a food is satisfying, and another day it's too much, and another day it's too little. So your body changes frequently. So if someone again puts you on a meal plan that tells you to eat this amount at this time, whatever, you're not being able to honor that. Your body goes through natural changes depending on activity level, depending on stress, depending on sleep, depending on how hydrated you are. Like, there's so many factors that come into these aspects, and you want to make sure that that's why you want to listen to what our bodies are telling us in that moment. Principle number 7, cope with your emotions with kindness. Anxiety, loneliness, boredom, and anger are emotions we all experience. Dieting can trigger emotions, which can lead to using food as a primary coping mechanism. Food can be love, comfort, a reward, and reliable, which is why so many people cope with food. Food will never fix any of these feelings, and you will ultimately have to deal with the source of the emotion. So eating comfort foods can be a part of a healthy relationship with food if you do it while staying present and without guilt. And how do you cope with emotional eating? Ask yourself if you're biologically hungry. If you are, eat. Honor your hunger. If you are not, what are you feeling? Try to write out your feelings. Call a friend. Talk about the feelings. Talk about the feelings and record them on your phone. Sit with the feelings and experience them if you can. Talk with a therapist. Ask yourself what you need. Maybe you're really tired and stressed, and no amount of food can replace pure exhaustion. So really honoring it, no matter what decision you ultimately make, being mindful about that decision is really the first step that you can do. Respect your body. So one of the things is you want to make sure, I'm not saying, we don't want to honor our health and eat nourishing foods and do all these things to keep our bodies healthy. But at some point, and I've had many patients like this, where it comes to a point you have to accept your genetic blueprint. If your shoe size was a 9, why would you try to squeeze into a size 7? You wouldn't, because it wouldn't fit and it would be uncomfortable. So why do we have similar expectations about our body size? Respect your body so you can feel better about who you are, because all bodies deserve dignity. Science has shown us that DNA programs each body size and shape, so rather than focusing on changing your body, now's the time to treat your here and now body with the respect it deserves. The respect it deserves includes fueling it with nutrient-dense foods, exercising, staying hydrated for the sake of health, not to achieve an unrealistic body image. A lot of people have unrealistic expectations of what their body should be. There are a lot of people out there striving to just be 10 pounds less, and that may not be realistic for their body, which means they will have to take extreme measures to achieve that, and that is going to cause more harm than good: body image issues, eating disorders, poor mental health. Just remember, if we all ate exactly the same breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, we would all still look very, very different. So just remember that too when you're looking at social media, or you're following fitness influencers, or whoever it might be. You're a different person. Your body composition is different. Your DNA is different. Again, respecting your body includes respecting all these other, factors that we want our health promoting. But I know so many people out there that are just going to spend the rest of their lives, just trying to get to maybe an unrealistic body that, so they're never going to truly be happy with themselves. And it's sad. Principle number 9, movement. Feel the difference. Shift your focus on how movement makes you feel, rather than focusing on the calorie burning effect of exercise. If you focus on how exercise makes you feel from working out, such as energized, it will help you to be more consistent with it. Typically, when we focus on exercise solely for weight loss, it becomes stressful. We also want to be careful that we're not punishing ourselves with exercise. So for example, I ate that cupcake at the work party and now I need to burn it off. You'll create this negative correlation in your brain with exercise, so that exercise equals a punishment. So why would you want to exercise when you feel like it's a punishment? What's important is to find movement that works for you, that you can be consistent with. And it doesn't just have to be, so many people feel they just have to go to the gym. Well, if the gym doesn't work, if that's not something that you like or that you enjoy to do, then you don't have to go to the gym to get exercise in. So there's so many other things you could do to move your body. So start to brainstorm of what do you like? What is something that just gets you up and moving? Maybe it's a class you've done before. Maybe it's Zumba. Maybe it's, going for walks outside. Maybe it's, doing some videos on YouTube in your house. Maybe it's, a lot of people do gardening and yard work, and those are also those are exercise, and also increasing our NEAT, which is non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is also really important. It's any activity outside of structured exercise. So really what's important is moving your body and doing something that you can be consistent with. There's also so many reasons to exercise aside from just weight loss. It decreases your stress, improves sleep, stabilizes blood sugar, lowers blood pressure, increases muscle mass, gives you some alone time. As a busy mom of 2, that's one of my big reasons. Improves your immune system, reduces certain types of cancers. You'll drink more water. Some people really struggle to get their water in, and it'll get you to drink more water, and increases your mental focus. So next time you are debating exercise and you feel really stressed about it because maybe you have not the greatest relationship with exercise, try to think of one of these reasons to exercise that's not just associated with weight loss. And again, it doesn't mean that weight loss can't be one of the pieces. It's just, again, let's not make it everything when it comes to health. And principle number 10, honor your health with gentle nutrition. Make food choices that honor your health and your taste buds while making you feel your best. When you remove the guilt from eating, it allows you to feel the physical sensation that you derive from eating. We want to eat nutrient-dense foods such as fruits, vegetables, whole grain, proteins, fats, and we also want to enjoy the food to make sure it provides satisfaction. The role of nutrition in preventing chronic disease has been established by the scientific community. You may even realize as you are in this journey, if this is something that you're interested in, you also may even notice that you don't even like certain foods that were off limits once you allow yourself to have them and really focus on addition instead of omission. And also, just another side note is that portion control is not an issue for intuitive eating eaters, again, when it comes to serving sizes and being able to just, tell what your body needs in that moment. Another thing I want to add is because I know I talk a lot about addition, not omission. So, for an example that I want to say is how you can honor your health and nutrition, but also give yourself what you like, is think about what you like. For example, let's take pizza. So a lot of people love pizza, and that's like one of my favorite foods. But I know if I just ate pizza, that it's just not going to make me feel great. And this has nothing to do with anything it's truly how I feel. And of course, as a dietitian, I'm also aware that I want to have other foods that are nutritious, but I love pizza. So how do we take a pizza and make it more nutritious? Okay, well, maybe instead of just, having a couple slices of pizza and calling it a day, kind of feeling bloated and after, I'm going to either have a side salad with grilled chicken on it and have one slice of pizza. I'm going to have some roasted broccoli. And again, maybe I'm going to slice up some veggies and chicken or some sort of protein and put it on the pizza and have like a veggie chicken pizza instead of just, a cheese slice. So again, focus on now addition of protein, fat, and fiber. Those three things are going to be really nutritious and nutrient dense and satisfying. So focus on adding that to a meal that you enjoy, and that's going to you're going to honor what you like, but you're going to add more nutritional components to it to make it more of a balanced meal. So try to keep that in mind when you're picking out your meals, is in the balance factor that you want to add fat, fiber, and protein. And just a closing note of why you should eat mindfully. It can lead to positive and lasting change because eating mindfully is not about restrictive diet choices. Food becomes something to enjoy, rather a temptation or a regret. It slows down the pace of your meals, allowing more brain time to hear the I'm full signals in your stomach, which may help in weight loss. It optimizes digestion. So some research has shown that when our attention is not focused on eating, our digestive process is 30 to 40% less effective than it should be, which leads to gas, bloating, and discomfort. And mindful eating with family fosters deeper connection. It also allows you to model healthy eating behaviors for your children. So example, the Clean Plate Club is not, has them go against what their bodies are telling them. And now kids can be a whole different topic. I have 2 kids myself, and I get it. But just something to note is the more you can help yourself develop a healthy relationship with food, the more it's going to be passed down to the next generations, and we can break the cycle of disordered eating and really allow for this next generation to not grow up with the same stigmas of diet culture that we may have grown up with. So I hope everyone enjoyed the presentation. So just let me know if you have any questions, I guess.
Yes, thank you so much, Erin, for the
Okay.
presentation. If you can, if anybody has any questions, you can enter them in the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen. All your questions will remain anonymous to protect your privacy. All right, I see we have one question already. Will we get a copy of this video? Yes, you'll get a copy of the video. Um, we'll give it a few more moments to see if anybody else has any questions. All right, we have another one. Ozempic, etc. I guess thoughts on Ozempic?
Yeah, so Ozempic, just like anything else, is a tool. And what it comes down to is like, as long as you're taking any tool, no matter what it is, whether it's weight loss surgery, whether it's a weight loss medication, no one's saying that those things cannot be, used and that you're going to be judged or like, you shouldn't go on them. It's what you do with the tool and how you're creating a sustainable life, and also that it's working for you in your health. So, for example, if you're someone that was using a weight loss medication and you were eating really nutrient dense and maybe the weight loss was just coming off slower, but you were really cementing those healthy habits in, and then you switch to this drug that maybe now you're really not hungry and you're just not eating nutrient rich food, that to me, like, then that might not be a positive thing. But as long as you're using it as a tool, maybe it helps with portion control, it could absolutely be used in a healthy way. And I do encourage anybody who's on those weight loss medications to, seek dietitian counseling as well.
Is vegan a good idea?
So vegan it depends. There's so many, like, there's never really like black and white, good, like there's good or bad. It really depends on why you're doing it. So for some people, if they're doing it for a reason for the animals, or, they have, I'm like, can't think of the word, but, that they're doing it for that type of reason, not just for health. Like if someone is like, I want to go on a vegan diet to be healthier, you can be very healthy on just a non-restrictive diet as well. So you'd have to really make sure you're getting, it's just really hard to get a nutrient dense diet with enough protein in your diet, but it's possible. It just takes a lot more work, because then you have to find vegan sources of protein. You got to make sure you're getting, things that you're going to be lacking now, like calcium from dairy and iron rich foods and B12. Like there's all these things that are found in animal products that you're going to be eliminating. So as long as you're getting enough of those foods through vegan sources, then you're okay. It just really, again, it could be give or take.
So with intuitive eating, we are not counting calories then? How can we guarantee we will eat in a deficit?
So when it comes to intuitive eating, again, I would make sure that it gets into a lot more detail if you're working with an intuitive eating registered dietitian one-on-one. So when you are intuitive eating, you're going to be more so listening to, we're not focused on eating in a deficit. And again, it's really hard because like everything's very individualized, and you'd have to see exactly what you're consuming and really recognizing some of those habits that you were doing and trying to change some like unhealthy behaviors, and kind of just take it step by step and see what is going to provide the most benefit. But again, it kind of would take to work with someone one-on-one to really see what your individual habits are, exactly what you're eating. And as a dietitian, we can have you track like your hunger and fullness scale so that you have an idea of what you're feeling. But if you're keeping track of your portions, we'll be able to know the calories and all that stuff without you obsessing over it. Now, that's just something that, for example, like I know that I've done before, but, again, everyone's very different. But that's just if you're looking to heal your relationship with food.
What will a registered dietitian do for you if contacted for eating healthy and weight loss?
Mm-hmm. So again, every dietitian is different. It depends. So, we're over here at Mather, and we have the medical weight loss program. So it's a lot of based on education, learning about the science of nutrition, learning how to make sure you're getting foods that are going to support your health. Generally speaking, like, a lot of foods that can support your health tend to be maybe less in calories, and it also works differently in your body. So you learn the importance of these foods and how to incorporate them, how to make sure you're eating consistently, but maybe not eating too often. So and every dietitian has their own methodology of what works for them, but dietitians are the nutrition experts. We have been to school, we've been to dietetic internships. We are the most educated people on this, and we're also educated in counseling. So we're there to help people. So we're going to individualize your therapy as well. So I would definitely recommend always reaching out to a dietitian.
You mentioned that a healthy diet and exercise will help with BP. I am almost 62 and I have noticed my BP has steadily increased. How much exercise will I need to do to have it affect my BP?
Mm-hmm. So the general recommendation is 150 minutes of moderate exercise per week. So it's about 30 minutes per day. I'm sorry, 5 days a week, of just like moderate. That could be just brisk walking or just even going for a walk. Now, once again, I'm always going to say this because it really is so individualized that if you're going from not exercising at all, like you sit on your couch, not that you sit on your couch, it's just that like maybe you're not doing structured exercise, working with a dietitian, like we would work on like a small step. So yes, the ultimate goal, they could say 10,000 steps per day, 8 to 10,000 steps per day would be ideal, or 150 minutes per week, which is about 30 minutes, 5 days a week. But that might seem really extreme for you. Maybe we start with 2 days a week and we build on that, so always set really, we call them SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, reliable, and time sensitive. So you want to, 150 minutes a week, that sounds crazy. Well, then scratch that. Don't worry about that right now. That could be the ultimate goal, but start with 2 days a week for 20 minutes, and build from there.
Looks like a second part. Besides exercise, how much weight loss would be needed to see an improvement in BP? I'm only 10 pounds overweight.
Okay. Again, it depends. There's other things that can, one, blood pressure could, be a slew of other things. Also, hydration could affect blood pressure. You know, Eating, lots of fruits and vegetables, eating the DASH diet is one of the Mediterranean diet is really like the most, well-researched, nutritious diet. So that's something that you could definitely look into. But weight loss might not be the only thing, and it's also could be something that's genetic as well. There's definitely, it's again kind of individualized, so it kind of depends on per person.
How often do you suggest weighing yourself? Is once a day too often? I like to see how what I ate the day before changes my composition. I have a smart scale.
Yeah, so I don't recommend weighing yourself every single day because typically you are going to fluctuate based on what you eat that day. You could fluctuate based on where you are in your cycle as a woman. There's so many natural fluctuations. So I see people getting really obsessive with the scale. And again, only looking at the scale as that dictates how you're doing. And we don't only want to just look at the number on the scale. So we have what we call non-scale victories that, it could be feeling more energy, getting better sleep, increasing your hydration, maybe your blood work panel is getting better. So all of these things could be, going up the stairs and not feeling out of breath, being able to maybe inches are dropping and you don't realize it. Maybe you put on clothes and they fit better, but the scale, you're not, it might not be changing. So you just want to honor all these other factors, because sometimes what happens is if you're not losing, and again, I don't know exactly what you're doing, but if you are only focusing on the scale and then you're like, why am I even doing this? Oh, screw this, I don't even care. And then again, it's that very black and white way of thinking when there's a lot of life to live in the gray area. And that's where we want to live, in the gray area, that we don't want to live in these black and whites anymore.
Do we need to be at a certain weight to see a nutritionist for healthy eating?
No. So you can go on, okay, the medical weight loss program here is one option. I'm so sorry, I'm just going back. And no, you don't have to be a certain weight. No. There's also it's starting to get more covered through insurance too. You can go on ZocDoc and search a dietitian. You can go on eatright.org and find a dietitian in, and more and more insurance companies are actually covering for nutrition services. You don't have to have a diagnosis. That obviously depends on insurance. And there's also dietitians that take out-of-pocket expenses as well. But again, like I said, there's also the great program here through Mather that you can also do. They don't have, I see the next question, can you make an appointment with a dietitian here at Mather? There is an out-of-pocket expense, so you can call the nutrition office here to get more details on that cost, because it's not covered by insurance, but it's not like it includes classes. We do not have one-on-one dietitian counseling, but we do have the medical weight loss program. And as I mentioned, you can also go on eatright.org or ZocDoc and just put in your insurance, put in, what you're looking for, and it'll pull up different dietitians in your area, or even like virtual dietitians that can help. And then that's the next one too, our registered dietitian covered under insurance. Yeah, it really depends on the insurance, but they're starting to get better with covering. So like I said, try to go on those two different forums, the ZocDoc and eatright.org, and then you can, see. Okay.
What is the research about eggs and cholesterol these days?
So the research on eggs and cholesterol is that there's actually no evidence that cholesterol in eggs is affecting our blood cholesterol. So actually the yolk has a ton of nutrition in them, and we don't want to omit the cholesterol. Oh, I'm sorry, the yolks, because they have a lot of great vitamins and minerals and more protein. So we definitely want to still have the egg yolks. So it was actually more of the what people were adding to it that was affecting cholesterol, like bacon and ham and lots of cheese and things like that. That was, not taken into consideration in some of those research articles. So yeah, we're not concerned about that.
All right, it looks like the last question. If you are following a good diet and exercise but not losing weight, what can you do to kickstart it?
So one of the factors that in the presentation, like I mentioned, if you're following a good diet and exercise, again, it really depends. It's very individualized, and that's kind of sometimes where the accepting your genetic blueprint. If you're eating really nutritious, you're eating consistently, you're staying hydrated, you're incorporating, the recommended amount of activity, you are enjoying your life, your stress management, your sleep, like all these factors can play a role in weight, by the way. You're not eating too often, you're giving your body like 3 to 4 hours in between meals to let it digest. You're getting a variety of nutrients. If you're doing all of those things, and you're still not happy with your weight, what you could do is make yourself really uncomfortable possibly, and maybe restrict and not live as full of a life, or feel like you're being restricted, and maybe not go to events because or feeling uncomfortable going out to dinner, or over exercising and pushing yourself to stressing out your body more. Now again, this could all depend. I would have to really get an intake form from somebody, but you know, there's that part of accepting your genetic blueprint that like you can make yourself uncomfortable by losing those extra 10, 15 pounds or whatever it might be. But is that the life that you can sustain doing? So, you know, it kind of depends. And again, I would just recommend, you know, maybe trying to work with someone to see if there's any of those other little habits that you can work on. Maybe there might be something that, you know, you could work on. So,
All right,
and then I
now
see
this
someone.
looks like the last question. Uh,
Okay.
would you recommend oat, coconut, or almond milk to use if they're low fat?
So you can use, what I recommend mostly with those three milks is that they tend to have added sugars in them. So I would try to definitely make sure you're getting the unsweetened versions. And it just depends if you like the taste of them. Like, I don't want you choosing those milks because you think that they're just so much healthier, because actually regular milk has more protein in it. Like, those milks don't have any protein, most, you know, usually, unless it's added to it. You know, so, you know, I want you to use something that you actually enjoy, and I'd be more concerned about any of the added sugars that are added. So natural sugar is going to, just for example, lactose in regular milk is going to be a natural occurring sugar, where these milks sometimes have, so after processing, they'll dump more sugars, and that's really more health concerning, you know, is the added sugars than the natural sugars. So so yeah, that's what I would recommend. Making sure you have what you like and watching out for added sugars.
How can we contact you at Mather? Phone number or email?
Yeah, so you can email. So okay, our number at the nutrition office is, if anyone's interested in the medical weight management program, is 631-686-2513. So and if anyone wants to email me any questions, you can always email me at ecarAher@northwell.edu.
Aaron, I'll also share your email with everybody
Okay,
just to make it
perfect.
a little easier. But all right, that looks like that was the last question. I just wanted to thank you, Aaron, and thank everybody for joining. If you have any additional questions, please email them off to matherhospital@northwell.edu. Once you exit the webinar, you'll see a link to complete a brief survey. If you could please complete the survey, your feedback is extremely important to us and helps us plan our future programs. Thank you all again for joining, and if you'd like to view past HealthyU webinars, you can see them at www.matherhospital.org/HealthyU. Thank you all so much. Thank you again, Aaron, and have a great day.
Thank you.